Okay, everybody, so this is going to be my review of all the books that I have read in 2024. Why did I say 2014? So there are a lot of books that I have that I'm going to be reviewing that I do not have a physical copy for. So, because of that, I'll be touching on them very lightly. So the first book that I read in 2024 was A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. This is a book that's a Persephone Hades retelling. If you're familiar with Greek mythology, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're not familiar, Persephone is the daughter of Zeus and Demeter, and she, in Greek mythology, she is kidnapped by Hades, forced to eat pomegranates, and which forces her to remain in the underworld for 6 months out of the year, which is what is also explaining the seasons of the year. Like 6 months of summer, 6 months of fall, winter, blah, blah, blah. However, there have been also many different adaptations where Hades never kidnapped Persephone and that she was, that she willingly went with him. This is one of those books. This is a series. So it's A Touch of Darkness, A Touch of Malice, and A Touch of Ruin. I believe I said that in the wrong order. But anyway, so, and A Touch of Chaos. I'm sorry. A Touch of Chaos actually came out this year. I believe it's the last book in the series. But there's this series, which is in Persephone's point of view. And then there's A Game of Fate, which is all of Hades' point of view. So there's A Game of Fate, A Game of Fate, what are the other ones? A Game of Fate, and then there's a couple of others. There's like 2 others, I can't remember. Game of Gods is one, and there's one other. I honestly preferred Persephone's point of view compared to Hades. But I did like how in Hades' point of view, A Game of Fate, you actually are given a detail of how brutal the gods actually are. So, and how unhuman-like they are, and how brutal they are. And I liked that. I liked that kind of detail. But there is a significant difference when it comes to the gods in this book, and of course A Game of Fate, where gods have they have glamour, which covers up their godly appearance. It's a romance. It's a really good series. It's also quite spicy. So if you're looking for a spicy book, look for a spicy series, this is it for you. This is the most spicy I'll go, to be perfectly honest. The next book I read was a book by Alex Michaelides called The Fury. This was the first book I ever read of his, and I was pleasantly surprised, because I'd never picked up a book of his before. And so, funny story, and I ended up actually picking up the book after an older gentleman talked to me when I was looking for books in the thriller sections, and he's like, this one's a really good one, you should read it. And I was like, okay, boom. So I picked it up and I went home and started reading it. This book is, of course, the 3rd book written by Alex Michaelides, and there's characters from the 1st and 2nd book in this book. So you could consider it a series, but you could also read it as standalones. Not necessary to read them all in order, because I read The Fury, and then I read The Silent Patient, and then I read The Maidens. So, they recommend you read it as The Silent Patient, The Maidens, and The Fury. But in this book, you are, Jesus. You are reading from the viewpoint of, Chase Elliott, or Elliot Chase, and then you go from there. But the book reads like you are being told a story in a bar. So, if you prefer audiobooks, this is a good book that you can read via audiobook. And then just like I brought up The Silent Patient, I read that next. You read from the view of Theo, who is a psychotherapist that's really curious about Alicia Barrison. She is an artist who killed her husband. And this psychotherapist really wants to know why. And you find out why. Let me move these out of the way. Next we have The Maidens, which is my favorite, actually, of the three, written by Alex Michaelides. I am looking forward to anything he does write in the future because I am going to be picking them up. Because one thing I forgot to mention about Alex Michaelides before is that he is, of course, he's from Greece. And so he employs a lot of Greek mythology into his books. So in the third book, The Fury, I didn't catch what Greek mythology is being portrayed. But if you know, give me a comment below and let me know. In The Silent Patient, it's Alcestis. If you don't know Alcestis, Alcestis is a woman who is of course married, and their house gets ransacked by a bunch of bandits, and they force the husband to choose himself or his wife, and he chooses himself, and they kill his wife, and the guy goes, "Oh my god, I can't believe I did that." So he employs Hercules' help, and they go down, or Heracles, however you say the name. And they both go down the underworld, get back Alcestis. But when she comes back, she's not the same. She's mute. She will not and cannot speak. And so that's what The Silent Patient employs. The Maidens actually employs Hades and Persephone, which was a very big, pleasant surprise for me, especially Persephone. But in The Maidens, this is my favorite of the three, like I said before. And this book has to do with a woman named Mariana, whose niece's best friend is killed. And so Mariana goes to the college where her niece is at, and of course to give comfort and all that. And then she starts finding suspects of who killed her daughter's friend. Or her niece's friend, I'm sorry. But it's not who Mariana expects. So, I expected this book to go a different way, but I still love how it ended. So if you haven't read any of Alex Michaelides' work, please go and pick it up. Please. So good. The next book that I read was The Resort by Sarah Oakes. This book has to do with God, I can't even remember the beginning. Let me verify that. Yeah, I hate to tell you, but I can't really remember how it starts. I know how it ends. But it has to do with a girl named Cass. And I think she's going on vacation. My God, I can't remember. And, she's going on vacation, and, she meets a bunch of people, is looking to have a business. I believe she does some diving, I think. But things take a little turn for the worse. People start to die. So, that's The Resort. I wish I remembered what it was about. And before I get into my favorite author, let me talk about The Unwedding. The Unwedding by Ali Kandi. This is a book that I didn't expect, but it's a little bit lower on my list for rankings. But this book has to do with a woman who is recently divorced that goes on vacation to where she and her husband, her ex-husband, are supposed to go for their anniversary. And so she decides to go by herself. She meets a man and a woman who she becomes really close friends with. She meets a bride and a groom and the mother of the bride. And within a few hours, she goes to swim or the next day, whichever. And the next day, she finds the groom dead. And chaos ensues from there. The next book I read was, let me do these unfavorites. It's my favorites of the year. We get The House Across the Lake. Open up pump stuff. And Middle of the Night. I know you can't really see it because it's kind of cut off. But The House Across the Lake really pissed me off. Because I really hated the main character. I hated her. I ended up having to listen to it on Audible just to get through this book as fast as I could. I hated her. I hated her. I hated her. I did not like her. So that's what made this book so unlikable to me. In the Middle of the Night, I expected a lot more. So unfortunately, neither of these are my favorites by Marley Sager. This one is worse than this one because of the main character of The House Across the Lake. But I did like Middle of the Night a little bit more. So at least I had that as a saving grace of Marley Sager this year. But The House Across the Lake, you are reading from the point of view of a woman, I don't know her name, who's a major alcoholic who likes to snoop on her neighbors, stare at them through binoculars and spy on them. And like I said, she's a major alcoholic and she's just not my cup of tea. And she finds a scene across the lake, which is not a good scene, and she continues to spy and chaos ensues. When it comes to the middle of the night, in the middle of the night, we have two little boys that are in one of their backyards camping. And in the middle of the night, one goes missing. And the other boy is okay. 20 years go by, and the surviving boy comes back to the neighborhood as like a 30-year-old man, and supernatural things start happening. Secrets get unburied, and you have middle of the night. And now, my favorites. No, one more book. Alice Feeney, His and Hers. This book shocked me. The ending, the murder at the very end, perplexed me. I did not understand why this person eventually became the killer and all that stuff. I expected it to be somebody else. So this is going to be a major topic of my book club coming up soon. So, if you want to, discuss, let me know. Of course, I've already finished it. So if you want to discuss, let me know in the comments below, and I'll think of something. Virtually, whatever. I'll figure something out. And now we get to my favorite books of the year. We have We Used to Live Here, Rock, Paper, Scissors, and Listen for the Lie. So I'll talk about these two first. So you've got Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This was the first book I've read of hers. Fell in love immediately. What was the icing on the cake is that if you're an Audible fan, Richard Armitage actually voices the man. And that seems to be a revolving theme of Alice Feeney's books, is that the male is mostly voiced by Richard Armitage. If you do not know who Richard Armitage is, he plays Thorin Oakenshield in The Hobbit. And
meat separator.
He voices the really also serial killer guy on Hannibal in the Hannibal TV series. And I can't remember what other works he's in, but he's in, of course, in the whole other works. But I just know him purely from The Hobbit. But he voices the male characters, and he is a phenomenal voice actor and narrator for books. So if you haven't checked him out, like Audible wise, do it. Just perfect. But this book has to do with a man and a woman named Amelia and Tom, or Adam. I'm sorry, Adam. I don't know why I thought Tom. But Adam and Amelia. And they have been married for a few years. Their marriage is on the rocks, and they decide that they're going to go on a vacation, just the two of them. And the wife, Amelia, wins a Scottish getaway for a weekend raffle at her work. And they arrive, and things start going very wrong. But this book shocked me. I remember I was driving to work, and I was literally going, no! Because it was just so sweet. I even had to reverse chapters. Not reverse. I had to actually go back a few chapters and listen to the entirety of that chapter and the next chapter over again, so I could hear it, what happened again. And the title, very fitting. I love when the titles are so fitting. And that's a revolving theme for my favorites. So we have Rock, Paper, Scissors. And Now We Used to Live Here. We Used to Live Here was a random read for me because I noticed that there was so much trend on this book that I was like, I gotta get into it. But then I started seeing things about animal cruelty where there is none. There is none in this book. And I was like panicking. I was listening to reviews in the book. I was listening to other book Instagrammers talk about this book. And I ended up reaching out to one and I'm like, hey, give me the truth. Is it gory? Is it bloody? Is there animal cruelty? Like, give me the juice. And she said no to all three. So I immediately jumped in it, and I am not disappointed. You will not be disappointed either. It will take your mind for a spin. It is so sinister. It is so freaky. And this author, Marcus Cleaver, is just phenomenal at writing. This is his debut book, if I remember right. And he has a talent. He is very talented at keeping you on the edge of your seat, terrified. I think I consumed this book in 3 days. Because I remember I was on maternity leave, so I think it was 3 days. And I remember just going through sticky notes, trying to translate things in the book. That's just, God, it is just fantastic. If I remember correctly, this book is actually going to get a Netflix adaptation, and Blake Lively is going to be playing one of the characters. But I believe Evie, actually. So the really quick synopsis of this book is that you have Evie and you have Bess or Bev? I don't remember the partner's name. But they had just recently bought a house that they are planning to renovate and then sell. And a weird family comes up to their door and says, we used to live here. And they invite them in, have them over for dinner, and things start really turning to a dark turn really fast. But my God, it is oh God, my light. Oh no, my light. There we go. I'm using my monitor as my lights. So, but it's just creepy. You just get so full of dread. In every single chapter, it's just consumes you. And it's so good. It's so good. I believe I did a previous review of this, so if you want more details, go to that video. And now we have my final favorite of the year, Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. This book is also her first debut. Just phenomenal. Phenomenal. This book has to do with a woman, I can't remember her name. She is accused of murdering her friend, but there's no evidence to point to that, so she's let go. But the entirety of the town is like, you did it, you did it, you did it. Like, go away. So she does. And the only reason she's called back is because it's her grandma's birthday. And so she goes back to her hometown for her grandma's birthday, and she finds that there is a handsome true crime podcaster that's also going to be in town by the name of Ben Owens that I always pictured as Glenn Powell when I was reading this book. Glenn Powell, if you do not know, played Tyler, I believe his name's Tyler, in the new Twisters movie, as well as Hangman from Top Gun Maverick. I'm sure he has other works, but those are the two I remember the most. And he is going to be in town, and he is going to be covering her to discover whether she did or she did not murder her friend. And like I just said for Rock, Paper, Scissors and We Used to Live Here, the title is very fitting and makes so much sense once you get to the lie. And it is just, I still remember it. I read this book back in June. It has been almost 5-6 months, and I still remember exactly what happened, the lie-wise. And to me, that makes me, the more I remember a book when I look at it, the better the rating is for me, because I do not have a very good memory at all. 2 kids, a really stressful job, and just stressful life in particular. Makes it hard to remember things. So if I can remember things of a book, those are my go-to books. But another thing that I really enjoyed from A Listen for the Lie is it's not that it's only a thriller. It's that it's also quite hilarious, because you have the grandmother who loves to stir the pot, and then you have Ben Owens on the other side going, okay, I'm writing down all the family drama because I'm about to spill it all. Yep, right. Oh, what about that? Oh, okay. And they're a fantastic duo. Because you have grandma that's like, I am 85 years old. I want to have the drama. I must have amusement. And then Ben Owens is over there like, I'm writing everything down. I am going to tell the whole world. So, here are my favorites of 2024. Listen for the Lie and We Used to Live Here, I believe were published this year or were published last year. And then Rock, Paper, Scissors, I believe was published in, God, now I have to look, 2001. So these are not purely, these 2 are recent, but this one is not. But these are my favorite books of 2024 that I've read this year. These are the 3 that I would recommend to anyone who wants to pick up a good thriller. So, I hope you all enjoyed this little synopsis of the books I've read this year. And I hope to see that you've read these books. If you have read them, please let me know in the comments below how you liked them. And I will see you on the next book review video. Bye-bye.